Hey guys, Samuel Boulanger from Power Platform Geek. Today's video is the first one of a series of three where we'll look at how to create form in Dynamics marketing. The first video, one of today, we'll look at how to create those forms, and the second video we'll look at how to embed them on a marketing page or on your own website, and finally in the third video we'll look at how to analyze the data or how to use the data coming from the submission of those forms. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate, and let's get started. Okay, first, to create a form, the first thing you need to do is to create what we call a form field. Okay, so a form field will be used to map the field on your form with the field on the CRM. For instance, if I'm calling my field, so what the user is seeing, where you're living, I probably would want to map this field with the city field in the CRM. So that's where it will be done in what we call a form field. So to create a form field, you'll scroll down to marketing template in form fields, and you will create a new one. So there's already pre-made field like a first name, last name, email, etc. that you can use, but you can also create new one by clicking on new and by first giving it a name. Okay, so the name is for internal purpose. It's really for the display in your list and for searching purpose. So I'll call it where are you living, because I like that my name are the same as the label that the user is seeing. Okay. But that's not where we configure what the user will be seeing. That's just a little bit down there where it says label. So then we'll choose what the field type. Okay, so all the fields are supported, like currency, date and time, decimal number, lookup, etc. And based on the one you're choosing, like let's say I'm choosing the option set, I will have a format in the rendering control. So in the case of option set, I don't have any specific format, but I have different rendering control. So it can be displayed as a drop down or as a radio button. If I'm choosing multi select option set, the only rendering control I have is checkbox list, and I don't have any format to choose from. Then if I'm using single line of text, that's the one I want because I want to capture the city. Now I have a lot of format. I can choose text area, email, URL, and phone, and obviously will affect how the user is inputting his data. So if he's choosing email or URL, for instance, will be formatted as an email or a URL. In that case, it's a city. I want to select text, and my only rendering control available will be text box. Then I need to choose to which field in the system I want to map. So if it's if the person is submitting the form and I want to update or create a contact, to which form, to which field I want it to be mapped in the system. So I'll capture this information and address one city in the case where it's a contact, and I'll capture it in the field called city in the case where it's a lead. Then I have my label. That's what the user will see. So again, I'll use where are you living. That's what I want him to see. Finally, I have the placeholder. So the placeholder, it's kind of gray out text that appear in the input field until the user is entering his own text. Okay, so the placeholder can be I don't know, tell us where you are living. Once I'm done, I just save it. For existing form fields, there's this subgrid used on forms that show you everywhere and every form where this field is used. Now we want to create the form itself, so we just scroll up to marketing forms, just under internet marketing, and we click on new. First thing the system will ask me is to choose a template. You don't have to. I recommend it because those templates have pre-configured layout for the buttons and for the input fields, and it could be a little bit hard to play with it. If you want to, right now, if you want to play with how the buttons are looking, you will have to play in the HTML, and I mean it's just a little bit more complicated. You can probably you're better to start with a template. But just to let you know, if you're you decide to start from blank, you can just click on skip, but then you'll have to choose a form type before being able to start designing your form. In that case, I'll start from a template. So you have multiple templates available. You always have a preview to the right, but if you want to see it in more details, you can click on it and it will show you how it looks. There's different type of templates and there's different types of form. Actually, there's 3. I'll just cover 2 today. First one is marketing landing page. The second one is forward to a friend, and the third one that I won't discuss today because it's a subject in itself is a subscription center that lets you capture subscriptions to your mailing list or to your subscription list, but I'm planning to do a video on it later. So you can navigate through it. You can navigate to the different form by clicking on this next and previous button to the top. Just pay attention to choose the right form type for what you want to do. If you just scroll down there, you'll be able to see that you have form type of landing page. If I'm trying to create a subscription page, you can probably choose sign into the no, not this one, subscription form. If you scroll down, you'll see that it's a subscription center. Okay. When you're okay with the look and feel of the form, and by the way, you can delete any fields on those forms. It's just a starter, so that's why I suggest you to start from one of those. So you just delete the form, the fields you don't like, and you had the one you want. So let's say I like this one, I want to use it. I just click on select. It will load. Actually, I choose a subscription center. So let's just start again. I want to show you a landing page. I'll just pay attention. Okay. Now I have a form type landing page. So if you look at the top right there, okay, you click on the little down arrow. First thing, you can give a name to your form. So let's say I want to, I don't know, I'm offering a white paper on my website and I want people to fill this form to receive the white paper. So white paper form. Then the form type is selected by default because you've used a template, but if you start from blank, this will be blank and you won't be able to start designing until you choose a form type, okay? Then you have the update contacts and leads. So you're telling your form if you want to match the data that you capture in this form to a contact or a lead. So let's say I'm mapping to the city. The person is submitting the form, okay, and he has a contact and he has lead in my system. It will override the data in the form, so in for the city fields, okay, to update it, okay, based on what I selected there. So I can say no. I just want you to update leads. I don't want you to touch my contacts. You can select only leads. Same thing if you want to don't affect a lead or only contact, but if you want to update both, well, you just select both, okay? Once you're done, you can start designing, okay? In the toolbox to the right there, you can use different elements like the basic elements, advanced elements, and the fields that we pre-created. First thing is the text, okay? So you can use what is already there. So let's say download or white paper, or you can drag and drop it from there, okay? And enter the text. So it's the same thing. You can add image, dividers, new buttons. So maybe you want to add a link to another page and you want to add it as a button. You can just drag and drop. You enter the URL. And then you'll be able to choose the text, by selecting it. Go back to the site, whatever, okay? Then you can add content block. Content block is really useful. Let's say you're always reusing the same header or footer in all of your forms. You can use content block. I will not cover how to create them, but it's actually it's exactly the same way as you create the form itself. but you save it as a content block. Okay, so it's in if you scroll down there in marketing templates, where it is, it's form no, it's content blocks. Sorry, it's under marketing content. You can create content blocks from there. So content blocks will be the exact same designer as you see there, but once it's saved as a content block, you'll be able to use the content block. Just drag and drop it. Select your content block from the source. I don't have any right now, but what it will do is it will, let's say it's the header. The header will automatically be integrated in your form, so you won't have to recreate them each time. So that's a cool functions I found. It's a bit like snippet. Then you have the reset button, the captcha, and the submit button. The submit button is already there. Let's say you you delete it by mistake, you can re-add it just by dragging it there. If you want to add a reset button, you just drag and drop, and you can rename it to, actually it's already there at the bottom, it's called clear. Called be reset the form, whatever. Okay. You can play with the padding, but you'll notice that you can't really play with the design of the button itself like you can do in a marketing email. If you want to do so, you'll have to go in the HTML. Actually, from now, at the date where I'm filming this video, you can't directly really play with how the buttons are looking. So you can go in the HTML if you want to play it with, or you choose the right template with the right layout that you already want to use. Okay. Yeah. Then if you add captcha, the user won't be able to submit it if he didn't enter the captcha. And the same thing, you can really play with the layout of this one. And finally, you have your different form fields that you can just drag and drop. So if we're using where are you living, drag and drop it there, you'll see that that's the label we defined earlier. That's the placeholder we define also. So as I was telling you, the little grayed out text that is there until the user is inputting his data. Okay, so that's exactly the form we've designed earlier. Then if I don't like some of those fields, I can just remove them. That's not an issue. I can add field, etc., etc. You can always preview it. Look, see how it looks. Okay, from desktop, from the tablet, mobile. Okay. So when you're good, you can save it, obviously. And if you want to use it, and we'll cover how to use them, so how to embed them in a marketing page or in your own web page in another video. But when you want to use it, you must go live. Okay, so the system will check if there's error. Okay, or you can do it manually by clicking on check for errors. So right now I have 2. So the last name field should be included in your form and mark as required. So the thing is, in this system, last name is required by the system. So if the user is trying to input that to submit that form without filling last name, it will just it will just create an error, and nothing will be submitted. Okay, so you don't want that. So you want to make sure that all the fields that are mandatory in Dynamics CRM are mandatory in your form. Okay, because actually the submission will not be recorded at all. So you just put it as required, you save, check for error again, and now I don't have any error found. Interesting thing, by the way, I forgot to cover, you always have the different mapping that you have for your field that you can consult there. You have your placeholder that you can change if you want, and you can define a default value. So the difference is the default value the user will have to delete it to input his text. A placeholder, you can just type over it and it will disappear. You can define the required error message if there's some. As for instance, right now, if you want to submit this form, this field is mandatory. You should have an error message. So please enter your last name. The label position, the character with it, maximum character. You can hide the field, you can pre-fill it if needed. You can hide it. So why you could use the hide field or pre-fill options is, let's say you're creating campaign, I don't know, for a specific geographic region, but you don't want your user to input it, and you know that this form is used in a campaign that you only send to a specific geographic region. You can add the field geographic region that maps to your CRM, pre-fill the field with the geographic region, and then hide it. So each time it's submitted, it will capture this information. So then you'll be able to use it for reporting purpose. Okay. So that can be a use of hide field and pre-filled and default value actually. Once you're done, you can check for error and you can go live. Okay. From there, you'll be able to embed it in the marketing page or on your own website. Now, you have other settings that must be taken into account when you're configuring marketing form. It's all in the summary tab there. The first thing is your contact and lead matching strategy. I won't cover it in the video, so how to configure them, but I mean, very quickly, it tells the system what it should use, which fields it should use to match somebody to a contact or to a lead. So if I open this one, for instance, for the contact, you'll see that the only field is using to map to a contact is the email address. Okay, but I can say it's the email address plus the last name. Okay, so I'll just configure my matching strategy in accordance, so with email and last name. Then you have generate leads without matching, which means that each time you create, each time the form is submitted, a new lead will be created. So just each time it will create a new lead. Okay, so we won't look to match it. We'll just create a new one each time. Then you have the purpose. It's more of an informational field. You have the visual style again. Those two are used when you create a template and you want to filter based on different type of template you have. Pre-fill fields. I'll not cover that today, but actually, yeah, I can cover it. It will pre-fill the different fields in your form when the user is opening it. So if I've sent the link by email and I already know who the contact is, so a good example is a subscription form, I'll be able to pre-fill the first name, the last name, or any information I have in my system. Obviously, if I embed it in my site and I don't know who the person is, all the fields will be blank. So there's two things. If you want to use pre-file field, you must set it to yes there, and in the designer, in the form, you must set it as pre-fill to on. Okay. So from there, if I send it by email and the person is opening it, his first name or last name, don't remember which one I choose, but it will automatically be pre-filled with the information I have in my system. You have the form level double opt-in. So if you're using double opt-in, it's actually you're creating the automation of, okay, when you submit this form, I want to send you this confirmation email. I want to use this content settings. I'll not cover that part again because it's more from it's more related to email marketing, but content settings is telling the user what's your physical and legal address. Okay, so that's required by the system each time you send an email. So you're telling the system which one to use. How you say thank you once the form has been submitted. So you can open a marketing page or you can open a web page. If you do choose open the web page after configuration, it will ask you for the URL. If you choose the other one, it will redirect to a marketing page. You will just have to choose your marketing page in your system. Then you have success notification, success image URL. So when the person, the user is submitting the form, what will he see as a success notification, or actually not or, and as image, because the success notification by default, if I'm not mistaken, is kind of a checkbox, so you can change it to put your own logo if you want. Same thing for if there's an error with the submission. Then you have redirect URL, limit exceeded notification. I'll be honest, I'm not sure what this one is. Then you have redirect URL. Once this form is submitted, if you want to redirect the person somewhere else, like on a web page. And if you want to store the form submission, if there's an issue with the form, do you want to when you submit a form, if there's an error, it will be tracked. It will it has to go live to show you, but when it's live, you have a new subgrid that appears with all the form submissions. And normally it only track the submission that have failed or that are in errors. If you want the system to show you in the subgrid all the different submissions, you must check that to yes. But the thing is, in the hindsight, you will always have access. So it's just the way it displayed. So I'll just put that back to no. I save and I'll go live to show you. Oh, I have errors. Remember me. Oh yeah. So I just choose this field as a pre-fill field. So I'll just remove it. Now I should be good. Oh, I must turn that to you. No. Pleasure of live demos. Okay, should be good now. Check for the errors. Still have? No, we are found. Good. Now we are good to go live. And from there you can use the form you just created. So I hope it was useful. If you have any questions, as always, you can contact me on my different social media. You can add a comment on LinkedIn under my videos, or just send me an email. We can have a quick chat. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate. I hope this was helpful, and wish you a wonderful day. Thank you.